It's the Texas weather discussion video for Tuesday, the 5th day of September. Good morning. I am Donovan Neal. Texas weather will have a pattern change after a cold front arrives this basically today, and all eyes are on Hurricane Irma, which is on the verge of becoming the Atlantic's first Category 5 of the season right now. But let's take a look at the water vapor satellite view across the CONUS region right now. Troughing in the north will help aid to push that cold front down to the south, which will create the pattern change and will create very comfortable temperatures as we go throughout this week. But for today, we start the day generally in the 70s. You may see some 60s across the board, but we're expected to warm to the low to mid 90s for today. But as soon as the cold front comes through, I think we'll see some cooler weather along the way. Cooler weather in advance of that cold front. Take a look at the watch warning map. Things are pretty quiet. We still have a couple of fire issues in parts of the north where we still have the red flag warnings and the air quality alerts. Other than that, things are pretty quiet. We have severe weather issues in parts of Pennsylvania and the parts of the New England area, and also includes New York State. Notice that we're in green, which means we have a risk for thunderstorms, but no organized severe weather is expected. On day 2, we trend drier. We have a marginal risk for parts of the Carolinas and parts of Pennsylvania and Delaware and some of the adjacent states. And on day 3, we notice that there's green. No organized severe weather is expected for any parts of the nation on Thursday. Take a look at the rainfall average for the next 7 days, valid through Tuesday of next week, and you can see the bullseye in southern Florida, just to the south of southern Florida, where a pretty nasty hurricane is expected to hit there. So let's get right into it. We have two distinct waves here. One is in the Gulf, we don't have to worry about because that's going to be pushed down by the cold front that's going to come through. And here's the other wave that's in the back of Hurricane Irma. This one has a 60% chance of developing during the next 2 days, and this one basically has a near guaranteed chance of developing during the next 5 days. And if this becomes a tropical storm or a hurricane, its name will be Jose. And the models currently track this to the north of generally track this to the north of the Leeward Islands here. And models actually try to bring this up to a hurricane. Some models try to even bring it up to a major hurricane. But I think we'll just have to watch this with time. But I don't think this will impact the United States. I think this will just dilly-dally in the Atlantic for a while. So let's get on Hurricane Irma. How is she looking? It's still looking pretty nasty. Maximum sustained winds are now at 150 miles an hour, on the verge of becoming a Category 5 hurricane. Wow. We have hurricane warnings. We have hurricane watches and warnings for the Leeward Islands and also Puerto Rico. You can only look at this cone and take it with a grain of salt because a sharp northern turn is expected to happen. But the question is, when will it happen? But for now, here's the earliest arrival time for the tropical storm force winds. And you can see the winds the winds out ahead of this storm could arrive into Florida by basically Friday night at the earliest. Wow. And here's the models. Here's the model output here. You can see that it gets to really north of Cuba and then makes a sharp right turn or a sharp north turn out to the Florida Peninsula. So that could cause an issue if this makes landfall in the Florida Peninsula. And the GFS is basically starting to agree on this. But actually, both models are starting to agree on this. We'll take a look at that in just a second. But the GFS is agreeing on this making landfall in the Florida Peninsula here. So those of you that are in Florida need to start making preparations. Needs to start going through their hurricane preparations, as we're now the peak of the hurricane season, and a lot of things can and will change. So, and of course, there's always that slight chance that this could become Category 5 status here. But I think Category 5 status here, but Again, that's a possibility, not a certainty, but it's just a possibility here. So let's go to the dailies here. This is the GFS. This is the 12. This is the 06Z run, valid today at 1 o'clock at 500 millibars. Look at that deep trough in the north. Wow, that's gonna help set the stage for. But as that cold front comes through, that's going to help set the stage for cooler weather and also a chance for showers and storms during the afternoon and evening hours. Most locations should stay dry today. But on Wednesday, I think we should trend cooler. We should trend cooler, even though the sun will be out throughout the day. Highs will only be in the low 80s. Some lows could reach to the mid to high 50s for the lows. Wow, that'll feel good. And Thursday, again, same thing. Mostly sunny, pleasant, with highs in the mid to low 80s. And same thing on Friday. Now here's the weekend. On Saturday, we still stay sunny at nights with highs in the mid 80s. And here's Sunday. We'll have the same forecast. And here's Hurricane Irma approaching Florida's coast. And that pressure gradient, I don't believe that for a second. I think the GFS is, of course, added again with the unrealistic pressure gradients. Um, uh, but basically, both models agree that this hurricane will potentially make landfall in southern Florida's coast, and on Monday, on 1 o'clock on Monday, the GFS actually shows this making landfall again between Georgia and South Carolina at this time. And I'll show you the model discrepancies here in just a minute. But here's Tuesday. Of course, the remnant circulation is basically in West Virginia, bringing heavy rain and wind to the northeast. And let's actually go to the European. The European's actually a little bit slower in terms of the timing on this thing. Um, so this is actually Saturday, of course. The European still has this near Cuba, making landfall near Cuba before making a sharp turn. But this is Monday. This is Sunday actually, Sunday, September the 10th. Sunday evening, and this one actually has this making landfall right on the coast of Florida on the south. And this is Monday, September the 11th. This one actually has this making landfall in the Florida Peninsula. The eye of the hurricane is actually in Central Florida at this point. If this verifies, and this is Tuesday. The Basically, the remnant circulation is basically in Georgia, affecting parts of Georgia and some of the adjacent areas. And Thursday, the remnant circulation is just basically gone, non-existent at this point. But one scenario or the other, I think both. I think it's appropriate to say both. Both locations. I'd say all of South and Central Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and all those adjacent areas need to have their hurricane plan ready to put in action as we're nearing the peak of hurricane season, and a lot of things can and will change. Again, we're nearing the peak of hurricane season, and this could be a nasty one. So let's go out to the end of the forecast period. This is Friday, the September the 15th. Heights are about where they should be, and again, that's a fair day for us with highs again in the upper 80s. Take a look at the numbers for the next 7 days. No signs of 90s after today. Again, highs in the mid 80s and lows in the low to mid 60s. Very below average, way below average for this time of the year. That's it for the Texas weather discussion video today. I'll have more notes in the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock Monday morning, if you can catch your local TV stations on the air at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and Godspeed.